Welcome back. This week, 22 All Progressives Congress governors have unanimously endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a party's sole presidential candidate for the 2027 elections. This endorsement was announced by the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, at the APC National Summit held in Abuja. Uzodinma moved the motion for Tinubu's adoption and was seconded by Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State. The motion was approved by voice note and met with a standing ovation from key figures including Vice President Kashim Shettima, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, members of the National Assembly and APC members from all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. I've got two guests here on the program with me today. A political analyst, Nelson Akujimi. Nelson, it's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You look good. It's been a while.
Yeah.
How is everything with you generally?
We thank God.
Fantastic. Yeah. I also have with me, he's a doctor. Dr. Ojikutu, good to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You look quite dressed for the occasion. Where are you coming from?
Thank you.
All right, Nelson, very quickly now, with this endorsement, what dynamics do you think this is going to play out with our eternal democracy? Because 22 APC governors, that's quite a number. When you heard it, what was your first reaction, and were you surprised?
No, absolutely not, because if you look at the political template within the party, you know that the party has put its feet out as a one indivisible body. And if the governors of the party, that is the who is who in the party, have decided in their wisdom to endorse Mr. President for his second term, that is a clear message to even members of the party that, look, we stand solidly behind
Mr.
President. And any other person who wants to aspire, I believe he has the right, but he must realize that he will be standing in front of a moving train. So the governors have sent out a clear message that whoever wants to run against Mr. President must know that their support is out of it, because they have already entrusted their support in the endorsement of. So it's a good one for our democracy that
right.
The party is trying to tell you that, or tell the world that, look, come 2027, we won't have the rancor that characterize, party conventions and primaries, because we have already put all our eggs, with Mr. President. So it makes it easier to, to manage the affairs of the party and go into the 2027 election as a, as a united front.
All right. Dr. Dini, very quickly now, how do you think this early endorsement of the president would shape the political strategies of other political parties that would be seeking to run in 2027?
It's simple. What the summit, the APC had, I think, was a political party summit. So they have the right to have a summit and, organize themselves. However, to other, political parties or people that are thinking of forming coalition, how would it affect their strategy or how they will come by is now predictable, more predictable. So what other parties should do is to be focused on making sure that how can they beat the president. So how they can beat the president will now be left to their think tanks and all that. Now, people spoke about one party states, the president mentioned it and all that.
Too, yeah.
For anybody, when people endorses you, it's an advantage. It's something that will make you happy. So anybody that wants to criticize the president should just put the beat on his own waist or on his own daughter's waist and say the way, the traditional Yoruba, proverb, that says, put the cap on yourself, see how fitting it is, and before you can probably put it on someone else's head. However, if the president is endorsed, to anyone that is endorsed, either for a position or whatever, you'll be happy. So you can't blame the president. To key watchers that, okay, why are they endorsing him 2 years or before 2 years into his tenure and all that, is now a question to be answered by the opposition. Is a question to be answered by Nigerians. Now, what does, even the president, what does he need to do? What he needs to do is to know that he has won his party. Now, has he won the confidence? Has he won the trust? Has he won the love of Nigerians? Is now the big task for him to do.
Okay. Now, Nelson, when El-Rufai came out and started ranting and talking about the displeasure he had towards the party because of how they treated him, do you think his coming out triggered this move by the APC converging to endorse the president? Do you think the coalition conversation that started spiriting around social media gravitated towards a point where the APs felt we need to wake up? This is already building up. Let's do something to counter this. What if this?
Well, it's a two-way street because I wouldn't want to say that El-Rufai coming up with a coalition must have gingered the APC as a party, because we've always had this noise or news about a third force. If you remember, in 2019 we had this news about a third force. So it has always been the character of our political environment. But be that as it may, the coming together of the APC was just, to make a statement to Nigerians that, look, no matter what we are going through, this is a president who has taken some bold, inevitable, decisions that had no alternatives. And we can see the positive of the economic re-engineering. It came with pains initially, but everything is looking good. And, we are all hopeful. And it's just to tell Nigerians that, look, we are with Mr. President in his, economic and, in his governmental policies.
Right.
And we are prepared to support him to have a second term, because if you listen to some of the governors even across party lines, you recognize that in the last 2 years, states have been, liquidating their debts, which has never happened before in our history. You hardly see any state government, borrowing. Somebody even told me, jokingly, that apart from the Udoji salary award, that this is the first time in our political history where government will increase workers' salary by over 100%, and no state is saying, I cannot pay. Rather, we see states struggling to outdo one another. Some say 75, some say 80. You recollect under former President Muhammadu Buhari when he signed the minimum wage into law in 2019. Yeah. Till he left office in 2023.
Some governments were still not able to pay.
Over half of the states couldn't. In fact, as of 2024, before President Bola Tinubu had that discussion around, some states were still paying as low as 8,000 naira minimum wage. So that tells you clearly that those economic decisions they took with regards to stopping the hemorrhaging of the Nigerian economy through the subsidy regime, as well as the unification of the the foreign exchange system, as shaping our economy in the right direction. Right. So the coalition or no coalition, Mr. President, you must whether you agree with me or not, is a statesman, is a politician of repute. Right. So it is not out of place that at every point in time he's thinking about the next move. So whether you are making your own move or not, he's focused on what he's doing, and I think that must have gingered this party to say, look, let us also do something, to galvanize Nigeria people, because the talk around town now is about 2027, and being the party in power, you cannot go to sleep while your enemies are beating the drum. So you also need to wake up. All
right, Dr. Jenny, you want to add one or two to that before we move to the next topic?
Basically, my take is that endorsements has been in you remember Basha, 2 million man march, all the parties, the UHCP, NCC, GDM, and NCPN, all of them were supporting, as early as April 1998, they were supporting General Basha against the will and the majority, those 5 political parties. So endorsement is normal in political settings. But what should be done is that the president should understand that he has a day with the Nigerian people, going back to them sometime early 2027 to ask for their validation. So his focus should not be on the endorsement. In fact, the way I've seen it is that there's endorsement of the Senate and the House of Rep and the political stakeholders in the APC will water down the numerous endorsements that will come. So that will make him, so if the Senate president, the governors has endorsed the president at the largest summit of the ruling party has endorsed the president. So any other person that wants to do endorsement would not be as weighty at that.
Okay.
So that is to say that it will allow the president and the government to be focused. They should be focused on the dividends
of democracy to the people.
So that Nigerian people will be happy that we have a government, so that the contract, and I listed out some of the contracts, let the hospitals be better, let the rail system be functional and penetrate more cities in Nigeria, let the educational programs penetrate, the SMEs should be focused and developed, the CNG program, which is a laudable one, should be encouraged so that cost of transportation will come down for workers and all that. So if Nigerians, and electricity, if Nigerians can feel the succor, I tell you, the problem about noise making will not, about electioneering and everything, will really not be an issue.
All right.
Sincerely.
All right. We go on a quick break now, and Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us.